If you ask any local historians when Pittsburgh first saw workers start to organize and demand better terms for employers, they'll refer to the Civil War days in Homestead. I spoke with Joel Wooler, who used to be a board member of the Battle of Homestead Foundation. He told me about that battle and how striking rail workers had a massive community support back in 1877.
Pittsburgh was one of the cities where you really had an alliance of the unemployed people, the workers, and the middle class substantially united behind the union.
I also spoke with the director of museum collections at the Rivers of Steel, Ron Bariff, in Homestead. He walked me through labor artifacts such as personalized hard hats, lighters, and old union cards his museum maintains.
Anything from national publications and to union booklets and membership badges and all of those pieces of folks' lives that they held on to because it was essential to their success and who they are. It's an important part of their life that allowed them to raise a family, be successful, and move the next generation forward.
The Carnegie Steel Company workers in Homestead were fighting in the late 19th century to end the practice of basing pay on the cost of production and amount of sales, and to stop employers from re-implementing 12-hour work shifts. Bariff explained how in those days, coming home from work was not guaranteed. People worked long hours 6 days a week, surrounded by hazardous materials. Safety was not prioritized. Many would either fall asleep on the job, lose limbs, or die. It all came to a head in June of 1892 when a new contract agreement could not be reached and workers collectively refused to work. On July 6, Henry Clay Frick called in the Pinkerton Agency, an infamous for hire labor-busting business that effectively had the largest standing army in the country at the time.
There's 10 dead, 7 workers, 3 Pinkertons. Pinkertons surrender, and they're let off the barges. Unfortunately, mob rule, they run the bloody gauntlet. But at the moment, the workers won. Unfortunately, they're never going to win the war.
It took another 40 years and an act of Congress before workers were allowed to collectively bargain and negotiate wages or other conditions. That led to the 8-hour workday and 5-day work week that we know today, not to mention mandated safety precautions like hard hats, gloves, and safety glasses. Pittsburgh became the starting place and home for several national labor unions, such as the United Steelworkers, Fraternal Order of Police, and the American Federation of Labor. Fast forward to 2024, and steelworkers and other trades are not only the type of workers fighting for representation. Nurses, teachers, museum workers, baristas, and journalists have all sought representation in the area over the last few years. While workers may not be fighting to stay alive, they are fighting for similar reasons like having a greater say in the workplace, raises, and raising the minimum wage. Currently, over 10,000 University of Pittsburgh employees and graduate students are trying to formally unionize a labor union, making it the largest to be presented at the State Labor Relations Board in nearly 2 decades, if at least 30% of the faculty and students sign on to holding an election. Bernie Hall, director of the United Steelworkers District 10, says this new union, whom he is helping represent, is not surprising.
Over the last several years, we've grown by almost 20%. There's definitely, especially in the western part of the state here, unionism still runs deep. We're going to continue to organize workers as long as they want to continue to belong to a union.
In February, Chatham University faculty started to present their case to the National Relations Board for a formal union. Unionizing efforts began this past fall when Chatham laid off 20 employees, reduced faculty benefits, and cut some salaries to trim its deficit, which the university has said stands at $6 million. Jenny Sweet-Cushman is an associate professor and union organizer of Chatham Faculty United.
We want to be partners in growing the university and strengthening the university and helping with the decision-making, and I think we are uniquely positioned to be good at that.
Chatham University officials said they could not provide comments until the hearings conclude. Another local union has been on strike since October of 2022, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, due to losses in health care and other claims of unfair labor practices. Andrew Goldstein, an education reporter on strike, says that while several workers have crossed picket lines and have sought employment elsewhere, he is hopeful for a fair resolution.
Over 17 months or so, I understand it's not something that's on people's minds every day typically, but this pain that we're feeling right now, I hope will, in the near future, really be a benefit and strengthen local journalism.
The Post-Gazette continues to publish and says that there have been 8 negotiation sessions in 2023. The Teamsters Union, which represents the newspaper truck drivers, reached a settlement with the Post-Gazette owners last week. The details of the settlement have not yet been revealed. In June 2021, Starbucks workers began efforts to unionize nationally. Since then, 18 stores have unionized in Pittsburgh, with many others awaiting hearings. Aaron Vargo, a barista at the Market Square location, which unionized in 2022, says the union has been helpful for strengthening their store's safety, but does not feel that all stores need to unionize.
The only reason that our store would benefit from that is because of the incidents we deal with. Since the incidents are going down, it's like, no, just suck it up. It's just a food service job.
With the upcoming presidential election, some are concerned about the protection of unions. Barrow said he could see the expansion of right-to-work states. Right-to-work laws refer to state laws that prohibit union security agreements between employers and labor unions, which require employees who are not union members to contribute to the cost of union representation. Currently, 28 states have adopted right-to-work laws.
With right-to-work states and the ability to bring people in, oftentimes at lower wages, without that protection, the more of that passes, the more it spreads across this country, the worse it's going to be, really for everybody, but for the workers within it.
This year's primary election will be held on April 23rd in Allegheny County.